So this is a DevStack environment. I think it's pretty much what you guys have right now as well. And yeah, so when we set up DevStack, I mean, there's the local conf, right? In the local conf, we'll have like a whole bunch of different services. So if I go to DevStack, I'll have the local conf that was used for this. So let's view the local conf. So yeah, some password setting and some other plugins being added. So for example, here, um, Manila is not installed by default in the local conf. I think at some point we try to make you use a different local conf file, which is pretty much where DevStack will read the configuration you would like to set up your DevStack with. And Manila is not installed by default. So starting with that, like whenever we want to enable projects that are not enabled by default, on DevStack, we need to use the enable plugin and mention what's the plugin that we are enabling. So in this case, we are saying enable plugin Manila. Manila UI is also not installed alongside all of the Horizon plugins. Like as I said, there is a set of services that are usually installed by default. You can disable some, but usually there's going to be like Keystone, which is the authentication service, Neutron, which is the networking service, Nova, because I mean Nova is one of the main reasons why we have OpenStack, which is spinning up VMs and doing the whole cloud thing. There's also Cinder, which is block storage. Usually people will attach the block storage disks to the VM, and there are like different kinds of storage. So Manila started as a fork of Cinder, but that's mostly architectural because we target different things. So Manila is pretty much like the shared file system as a service, and we can think like NFS and stuff. And Cinder is pretty much like block storage, and they can also do NFS, but I mean, why use NFS with Cinder if you have Manila? Well, no need. Yeah, so we are also enabling here. There's also Manila Tempest plugin enabled, which is the testing plugin for Manila, and there's a whole bunch of configuration here. But you can see like there's like backend 1, backend 2. We are saying, defining some config groups, and all of it is tagged with the Manila underscore something, because this will end up, as part of the Manila configuration file. So this is local conf, right? But now I think DevStack, it's a very nice system, I would say, like a very nice thing for you to set up a quick OpenStack environment. So if I just search the credentials, we'll have some information. So search, there's the OpenRC, admin, demo. Let's see if I can list the endpoints. Right. So I think this gave me the list of all of the endpoints available in this DevStack. So we can see we have Nova installed, we have Cinder installed, we have Manila, we have Placement, we have Glance. Glance is the service that will manage the images for spinning up VMs. So you can imagine, like when you create a VM, what do you need? Well, you need an operational system, which you need like the base image, and you select that base image to spin up your VM. So Glance will do the management of such images. Neutron, as I said, will do networking. Keystone is a very important one, which is authentication, and like Manila too, shared file system. But yeah, this is like the V2 endpoint. So yeah, here we can see like all of the endpoints. But how does this work? Well, all of the services are they end up like being a system unit. So there's a system unit that you can listen to see the log, see what's going on. So what we can do here, let's split this into two different terminals. So in this terminal, I'll like run some commands, and in the other one, I would like to do some other things to track the logs. So we've seen that, there's Manila enabled, there's everything, but how can I see all of the services that Manila has deployed? Well, I can do that by doing OpenStack share service list. OpenStack is basically OpenStack CLI. Share is going to be everything Manila commands. Service, it's like the entity that I'm issuing, and I'm doing like a service list. So there are different binaries here. We can see like one binary for Manila share, another like four for Manila share, one for Manila scheduler, one for Manila data. What are the Manila shares? Well, they are pretty much the service that are handling the storage part. So Manila has different layers. First, you will, for example, if you are creating a share, or if you are creating a snapshot or whatever, you can do that through the SDK. You can do that through the CLI. You can do that like directly with the API. But the API is going to be the first layer that you're going to touch, like from the Manila code base. And then if the request is correct, then your request is going to be directed to a message queue, and it's going to be sent to the scheduler, which will pretty much choose what's the backend to place your request. And then after that, the scheduler, and when I say backend, I say like storage is actually like a machine that has a lot of gigabytes to place your shared file systems. And then it will end up choosing what's the best storage to place your shares. So in this case, the scheduler, let's say the scheduler picked like the Gamma backend. So this is like one of the backends. And then that's going to be the workflow. So it's going to be first the API, and then scheduler, and then the Manila share. And Manila share is generic, and we have driver interfaces, which are like some interfaces because Manila has to be generic, right? So every driver has their own implementation for create share. For example, if you are dealing with Ceph, or if you have Ceph installed, then the command to create a new volume or a new subvolume is going to be one. If you have NetApp, the command to create a new volume is going to be a different one. So the Manila share will have instantiated as well, like for every single backend you have, it will have also instantiated what is the driver corresponding to that backend, because you have configured that in the Manila conf. I'll show that in a bit. And then the request is going to go to that driver, and the driver will get the information that you send, will translate into something that the storage can understand, and then it will process the request and get back the information to Manila share. Most of these operations, they are asynchronous. So for example, creating a share, we don't know how long it could take. For example, let's say a cloud has 3,000 shares and it's kind of busy, and the share creation might take 1 minute. We don't want to keep the user waiting, so we just say your request was accepted, and then please, this is the ID of your share, and so on, and a lot of other information. And you keep looking at the share. When it's available, then it's created. If it goes into error, something happened, and you need to figure it out. So first thing, so I think that explains a couple of things and like the layers we have. So first Manila API, then scheduler, then Manila share, and the asynchronous part of it. So I say like there's these binaries, but where does this come from? Well, there's this file called manila.conf. So it's under etc manila.conf. And then remember all of the configuration from localconf. It's all here as well. And remember all of those backends with like Manila underscore something. It's all here as well. So you see like the alpha, you see the beta, you see gamma, you see delta. And this is some specific networking configuration for the backends. But yeah, so let's say, let's run this command here as well. DevStack, OpenRC, admin demo. So if I list all of the services, and I mean, I can show a lot of things. So we can see that there's a backend here declared name alpha, and it's got a lot of things, and we can see like the alpha is driver handle share service true. That doesn't matter to us at the moment, but at some point it will. And we define what's the shared driver. As I said, like Manila's generic, and for each instance of Manila share, we need it to tell us what driver it's gonna use, so that the driver can translate the request to something that the storage will understand. And this is using the dummy driver. Dummy driver is pretty much like it's not going to do nothing. If you do the request right, then it's going to just say, okay, it's used only for testing purposes, and no actual storage is allocated for any request you do. So we mostly use this for CI testing or for development sometimes, just to validate something. But you can use like real storage sometimes. So this is the alpha backend, and you can see here, like there's also the alpha here, right? So for each one of these backends we have declared, we will have one corresponding service, and all of these are enabled, and they are also up. So one important thing, like so that they show up, is, let's say we have these 4 backends, and we want to enable them. So we need to add the new backend that I've just declared to the list of enabled share backends. So I do this, alpha, beta, gamma, and delta. So these are the 4 backends, and we can see all of them being listed here. And let's say I want to add a new backend, and how I will do that. So I will copy that. I don't actually care about many things here. I just need a new backend to be created. Oh, actually, this might be easier. So I'll just copy this information and try to make it be replicated. So I don't know why, but this is not working just fine usually for me, like copy and pasting. But yeah, now it worked. So let's say this is gonna be called São Paulo, right? So a new backend named São Paulo. Let's see if I need to change anything else. Let's say change this as well. Yeah, so this is the thing. And now let's see if this showed up in the service list. It didn't, right? That's because the Manila conf, like whenever we start Manila or we restart Manila, the configuration is stored somewhere, and we are not doing like some live reading from the configuration file. So every time we want to change something within the backends, we need to restart the Manila share services. So let's do sudo system cutoff restart DevStack at m. So I think I am a bit ahead of where I should be now. But yeah, let me do something else first. Let me show you something else first. So as I said, all of the services within DevStack, they will be a system unit. And how can we identify them? Well, so system, let's do this, sudo system cutoff status and grep for DevStack. So all of the units will be listed under DevStack, right? So you can see here, DevStack mdat is from Manila data. You can see the Keystone service. You can see the Cinder schedule, Cinder volume, Manila share, Manila API, Manila Neutron scheduler, Neutron placement, Neutron conductor cell, and the list goes. So for every single one of those services that we've seen the endpoints, we will have the corresponding system units. And I mean, it might not be only in the endpoints, like each service might have more than one each project might be more than one, might have more than one service. So Manila, for example, like we're seeing it being listed there, but it has 4 services. So Manila data is for data transferring. Manila scheduler, as I explained, is like for picking whatever is the most suited backend for the request. Manila share is the one that is gonna be getting the request, doing some processing, and calling the driver, which will translate into something that the storage understands. And the API will get the requests and do like some the easiest part of the processing. So I think that said, I see that there is the Manila API in the Manila share. So I know I just told you that Manila share is going to be the responsible for the drivers and the backends. So I need to restart that, the Manila share, to pretty much pick up all of the information that I've updated in the Manila conf. So if I do m.m-share and asterisk, it should restart all of the Manila share services. I should be looking at the logs, but if I just do this, I think the new service will show up. Or I might need to, let's see. I'm not sure if I need to. I think I need to restart every single one of them because the scheduler also needs to pick up the changes. So if I want to restart all of the Manila
Need to.
services, it's going to be.
So technically, did we have that in the enabled shared services stuff?
Ah, yes. I forgot to add that. And I said that I should have that. Thanks, man. All right. No, yeah, my mistake. Sorry about that. Yeah, sometimes the scheduler doesn't pick up, so that was like my first guess. But yeah, I completely forgot to add that. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
So I can watch the logs to see if the services are coming up. I'll show that in just a bit. But if I keep doing service lists, the new backend should show up now. Yeah. So São Paulo showed up. It means that it picked up all of the configuration that I've applied in the Manila conf. But if I want to see actually the logs for the backends being restarted and so on, I can do like a journal command. So I'll do sudo journal cuto, and I will listen to all of the action happening in the system unit that's under DevStack at m share for the Manila share. And then, oh, sorry, I'm talking and typing, and yeah. So this is pretty much everything that's happening in the Manila share service. So if I hit the restart again, I will see all of the action that's happening, and I'll see every single one of the backends coming up again. So yeah, it does a couple of things when it's restarting and so on, but this is how we usually listen to the logs. So this is, I think everything is started. So finish the initialization of the beta, finished, this is going to be, yeah, finish the initialization of Delta. And if I keep scrolling, I will keep seeing all of the other backends that got restarted. So that's pretty much how I would listen to the logs of the Manila share. So what I can do now is I'll create a couple of shares. So I was listening to the logs of Manila share. Now I'll listen to the logs of Manila API. That's the first thing that we will encounter when issuing commands to Manila. So if I do OpenStack share lists, yeah, so the request came through, shares detail, it returned with HTTP 200, and I can actually show you the response also in the CLI. So if I want to see in the CLI what was the response for what I requested, this is actually the response. So that's this giant thing here. A bunch of this is like links and so on, but the actual body of the request is also in the middle of all of this mess. It's not pretty much readable, but it's very useful when you are debugging things. So OpenStack share list. Let's create a new share. Let's list our share types. You can see like all of the requests are coming through here. Let's see. I'll use GHSS file share type. So OpenStack share create NFS1, and then let's try with a different protocol. So we have a couple of different protocols. They are gonna be NFS, or they are gonna be CFFS, or they're gonna be CIFS. There are different protocols you can use in Manila, and I think I want to create something that might not work, so just I can show you some failures happening. So I'm trying to create a CFFS share because we don't have any CFFS shares in CFFS backends in this environment. So I'm gonna say the protocol is gonna be CFFS, and the size of the share is gonna be 1 GB, and I'll name it CFFS share. So yeah, I think if I hit enter, let's say the share type as well. Oh, you're at the top of the hour. Do you guys can stay for a bit more, or no? I don't know.
Debug flag is missing, I think.
Okay, so I think it won't take that much time. If you're okay, then let's stay for a bit more. So um, CFFS didn't work because I mean we do not have these IND enabled protocols currently. The currently enabled protocols are NFS and CIFS in the backends. Let's try NFS. And let's say GDSS true. Let's see if this is gonna fail. I think it will. Yeah. This, yes. So you see here, like this failed because I tried to create a new share, an FS share, and I said GDSS true. This is like require some specific characteristics from the backends, but I didn't provide like an important thing, and the API told us that. So I was just listening to the API, and the API told us that share network must be set when the driver handle share servers is true. This message was also printed here, but yeah, if it wasn't, you can always look for more details in the Manila, uh, in the Manila API service. So let's create a request that we will actually go through now. Let's say JDSS false because I want to make it simpler. Let's try to make this fail. Yeah, I think this is gonna go through. But I can show the scheduler in action. So let's create this. Yeah, the share was created, and we can see that it returned with HTTP 200, which is good. Like the create share request returned with that. And now we can look further to the other service. So if we do OpenStack share list, the dummy share should be listed within this. And yeah, it's already available, but we can look at the scheduler service and see how this request was handled. So let's see the return. Yeah. So this was created in the Delta backend. And here you can see like all of the processing that happened. So it pretty much went through the backends and looked at these capacities, located the capacity and everything, and it decided on what was the best backend to place the request. And I think I can make this fail now. Oh yeah, there's like a replication one. Just a question forgotten quickly. Yeah, I think everything here supports replication, right?
Yeah, it does, unless we have some. Yeah, it does, but you have to add it though. So you have it only in one of the share types, right? The replication share type.
Yeah,
So it won't work with any of the other um, share types, basically.
yeah. I think that's what I
Oh, you
want.
wanted to write
Actually,
the user
yeah, I
message
want
thing.
you to fail. Yeah, I wanted to write the user message and fail at the
Okay,
scheduler.
yeah, try it.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not sure though. We might have a failure right away with that. One way that I know consistently of how to reproduce a user message is use a DHS as false and supply a share network.
Oh yeah. Thanks. Network. Let's see. So for OpenStack share network list, we have the share network named test. Let's use this. Right. So it should have failed, right? DevStack share list. Yeah, so this errored out. Sorry, I didn't change the name of the share, but the one that's errored out, that's the one that failed. We can check for the user messages, and then that's another way to see what's going on or if there was any issue reported to us. So OpenStack share message. So for message list, we had like these couple of messages here. The one at the top, it's gonna be the one logged day. There's the other ones are like from May, so we know like this is the one related to the create share operation that we were doing. So the message that is displayed to us is driver does not expect share network to be provided with current configuration. So it failed. It also logs the user message in some cases when it's like a user-facing issue. Otherwise, I think for administrators, or administrators' actions or any other things for more details, you would need to check the logs from the system unit specifically. So, all right. So the first thing in the workflow, we've seen the logs for the API, we've seen the logs for the scheduler, and for seeing the logs on the Manila share, we can also do the same. And if we request a new share to be created, then let's rename this. We should see also the logs of the share being created here. Let's say dummy share 3. All right, so this should show like the information. Yeah, so it's a brief log saying, oh, the share instance was created successfully. But if it was like an exception, it would be showing here if it's something in the backend. Yep. So that's pretty much the workflow we try to take when debugging things. So first, try to issue the requests, and then I at least try to start by looking at the API or the user messages, and then I go like, oh, is the API okay? If it isn't, then I will see the errors that are happening there. If the request went through and it failed at the scheduler, then the errors are going to be in the scheduler unit that I just showed. And later, if the issue isn't in the scheduler, I will check the Manila share. So that's pretty much how I try to debug these things. We can also edit the code in Manila, but I think that goes a bit further. I don't know if it's relevant for this context, but I think it gets us an idea of how to debug things. Is there something I'm missing? Is there something you guys would like to add? Or any other questions you have?
No, I think this is perfect.